The King of Fighters 15 is an excellent game. However, a lot of people have complained about a lack of meta diversity at the competitive level. However, did you know, SNK actually has a mode within the game that could deal with that? The mode is known as Draft Versus. In this video, we're going to discuss why SNK need to make this mode the competitive standard for ranked and high-level tournaments going forward. For those who don't know, KOF 15 in its standard mode is a 3 vs 3 fighting game where you build a team of your 3 best or 3 favorite fighters. However, things are just a little bit different with Draft Versus. In this mode, the person on the player 1 side makes the first pick. This becomes a strategic balancing act. If the first player knows the tendencies of their opponent, they could pick their opponent's best character, thus blocking them from using that character for that match. Player 2 is then able to make 2 picks in a row. In theory, this balances things out by mitigating player 1's first choice advantage. After player 2 makes their 2 choices, player 1 gets their second pick, and then player 2 gets to pick their third. Ultimately, you still build a team of 3, but draft format means mirror matches cannot happen, meaning no situations like KOF's first few months. For those that don't know, KOF 15 in its early months was dominated by the VRT team. What was VRT? It comprised of Vanessa, Ralph, and Terry. They were the clear best characters in the meta, and this led to a ton of mirror matches. Guess what? Mirror matches can happen in draft format. Metas in fighting games are important. If you have a stale meta, your game is just going to die a lot faster in a genre where the turnover rate is incredibly high. Generally speaking, the FGC is going to move rather quickly, and only those who really love a specific game are going to stick with it. And even those players will likely find something else to play if the meta isn't in some form of flux. There's a number of ways a developer can accomplish this. One of them is to nerf some characters and buff others. Another is buffing a character who needs it, and leaving the higher tier characters where they are with minimal changes. That's certainly a valid option. However, that doesn't prevent a major problem in the high tiers of competition that has become commonplace. We'll be covering that a bit later in this video. The draft format actually forces a diverse meta, and not by affecting balancing within the core game. The draft format actually forces its own meta because you can't just rely on your main 3 characters. In fact, it forces you to learn far more of the characters on the roster, either by countering your opponent's picks, as I said above, or by specifically choosing hard counters to the characters your opponent picks, thus becoming more of a mind game. Remember a moment ago when I mentioned we'd be discussing an issue with the meta at higher levels of competition? Take a look at the earliest days of KOF 15 and how things have been at more recent KOF specific tournaments. The meta early on heavily favored VRT, and later favored teams which included B Jenny, Hula Diamond, and Rock Howard. Those are just some of the characters top tier players preferred. So why am I discussing professional players in this video? It's because those are the players casual FGC members will see over and over again when watching high ranking tournaments, which is going to be a turnoff for some, mainly due to a stale meta like this is boring to watch, as it implies the rest of the roster is not worth your time. While a lot of higher tier characters will still see play in draft format, you won't run across as many cookie cutter teams like VRT. By adopting this idea, it would turn high-level competition into the hype events they're supposed to be instead of boring slogfests to sit through. Because watching constant mirror matches is boring, even if there will be some differences between how everyone plays their respective characters. It'd also mean lesser used characters will get their moment in the spotlight because they could be hard counters to a character the opponent likes. In all honesty, the draft format would actually highlight one of the most unique features from the King of Fighters franchise, that being team building. As it stands right now, players need to consider where they'll place their 3 characters between the point, mid, and anchor positions. Each one has their own niche. When a player is forced to go off a team they know has strong synergy together, they may actually figure out underutilized combinations that have synergy together as well. This would make the King of Fighters 15 feel incredibly fresh without needing to add new DLC characters into the roster. That's actually something that'd be a lot of fun to watch players discover, and it'd be also fun to discover on your own. So those are just some of my thoughts on why it's a good idea for SNK to implement Draft Versus as the competitive standard. But what are your thoughts on the matter? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you'd like to keep up with my socials, links for those will be in the description. Also, if you liked the video, 2 of my previous videos will be popping up now. One YouTube thinks you'll like, and the other will be my review for the King of Fighters 14. Until next time, keep blazing that trail.